Do you sit down and ask yourself, what am I supposed to practice? This is an extremely common question, and today I'm here to answer it for you. So let's get into it. Okay, first off, how long should you even sit down to practice? The answer is anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour. The most important thing is that you show up as many days as you possibly can, even if it was only 10 minutes. The reason is because you should build muscle memory when you are learning the piano. A huge part of learning the piano is muscle memory. So for example, if you showed up on Sundays for 5 hours, it's actually not going to be as good as showing up every day, even if it was a short amount of time. Again, because we practice, we do different movements, and our brain processes everything while we're sleeping, and it builds that muscle memory. You can do the practice routine that I'm saying in this video, even if it was 10 minutes or even if it was an hour. So you can just squeeze these things into little small amounts of time, or you can stretch them out depending on how much time you have. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do in our practice routine is warm up. So warm up anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes. And this is exactly what you should do when you warm up. First, we're gonna do some scales. Practice between 1 and 2 scales at a time until you reach a certain goal. So for example, if you're a total beginner, practice 1 to 2 scales until you can play that scale 1 octave. In this video, I talk all about what order to learn all of your scales in. For your scales, you could also make a chart to help you keep track of where you are. So for example, at the top, you could say C major, and then you could say 60, 65, 70, 80, 85, and you're gonna check off where you are on those scales. That way you can keep track of where you are. So once you've practiced 1 to 2 scales to whatever your goal is, for example, being able to play it 1 octave at 80 to the metronome, or 2 octaves to 80 to the metronome, and so on, then you're gonna practice chords. One really helpful exercise you can do is just practice your chords moving up the piano. For example, just practice C major moving up the piano like this. And then you could practice another chord like G major. It's important to practice chords because chords are the foundation of all of our songs. So if you can warm up with these chords, you're going to be able to play songs a lot more quickly. Just like with scales, you can make another type of chart that's all about chords, and it helps you check off which chords you're familiar with. Another good chord exercise is running through inversions. So for example, if I was running through the C major chord, here's root position, here's first inversion, second, and then back to root. So practicing chords like this is very helpful to get those inversions down. And you could do that with a couple different types of chords. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, as for inversions, watch this video. And if you have time, you could always add in some other types of warm-ups, anything that's going to keep you interested and enjoying playing the piano. I have tons of videos that talk about different arpeggio warm-ups or just fun warm-ups, and I will link those in the description below. So for our warm-ups, the most important thing is, again, practicing 1 to 2 scales and hitting whatever goal you're trying to get to. So for example, if you were just learning C major and you wanted to learn C major to an octave at 80 with the metronome, that's your goal, then you're going to practice that. Same thing with chords, just focus on a few chords at a time and get good at playing those chords. And then if you have time, sprinkle in a couple of fun arpeggios or some other types of fun warm-ups. Before I move on to the next part of our routine, let me know in the comments, what is your practice routine? Let me know. All right, after you warm up, now we're gonna start practicing songs. So I recommend practicing between 1 and 3 songs at a time and making a goal to finish those songs. We don't want to practice too many songs at a time because it's going to take forever to complete them. So how do we practice a new song? So let's look at something called a lead sheet. A lead sheet is basically when we have the melody in our right hand and we have the chords written, and that's what our left hand is going to play. So our right hand is going to play the melody and our left hand is going to play the chords. And I use lead sheets when I'm teaching my students because it's a really great way to play your favorite songs in a very creative way, and it's also a much faster way. So let's say I'm learning Yesterday by the Beatles. We're going to move in small chunks throughout the song. This is a very productive way to practice. So first I'm going to practice just the right hand part. So for this, I'm going to make it into a small chunk, and I'm going to go from Yesterday all the way to the end of this first line. All right, you're going to keep practicing the right hand until that's easy, and then you're going to practice the left hand chords. So we've got F major, E minor, A7, D minor, D minor / C. And once you're ready in that small chunk, we're going to play hands together. Get your small chunk up to being able to play it with a steady beat just like I did. Repeat this process throughout the song. Small chunks. Right hand, then left hand, then hands together, get it steady. Keep going. Now, once you've got the whole song done, we're gonna put them in bigger chunks. So for example, you could just practice the verse of Let It Be all together. Then you're gonna practice just the chorus, and then the verse, and then the chorus. And again, this might be a bigger chunk, but you're putting these together. And once those little chunks are good and steady and solid, we're gonna break it into even larger chunks, like going from the verse into the chorus and making sure that's smooth. Then you're gonna practice the whole song. And you're gonna try to bring that song up to speed, the regular speed that it is. And when that's done, you might wanna add some personal touches to your song. So for example, Yesterday could sound a little bit more personal like this. And so on. And once you're almost done, I recommend adding the sustain pedal. And basically, as you're learning new songs, you're gonna repeat this process over and over. Learn the notes, the chords, hands together, small chunks. Start piecing those chunks together until you've got the whole song. Jazz it up in your own way. To make it sound better, you're gonna need to add the sustain pedal. Make sure you're keeping a steady beat, and make sure you complete the songs that you start. Doing these little pieces every day is gonna add up over time. So let's say you were just practicing 2 scales a day, and 2 chords a day, and 2 songs a day, but you did it almost every day. You would make a lot of progress. One really awesome quote about this is by James Clear, and he says, if you can get 1% better each day for 1 year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time you're done. If you found this video helpful, you would really like my free training. This is where I go in a lot deeper on how to learn the piano in order, exactly what to learn in order on the piano to learn it fast. This will give you a very clear roadmap because, as you know, on YouTube there's tons of information, but sometimes you just need a clear path. And so this training goes over that clear path on what to learn on the piano in order. I love teaching students how to play their favorite songs without children's music, and I love showing them that they actually can learn the piano faster than they think. This roadmap does get results. Check out my student Kirk. He started out in my program, the Piano Accelerator, 6 months ago, and he used to take a little bit of private lessons, but he was doing children's music and he didn't get very far. But once he joined my program, 6 months later, he is playing Fly Me to the Moon, singing and playing, and adding his own pizzazz to it. So check that out. To watch my free training and to also see more about Kirk's testimonial on the Piano Accelerator, I will have those links in the description. And if this video helped you, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.